Hi, and welcome to Conductor, where we are two sisters on a mission to amplify women's voices on the podium.
Join us as we interview leaders in the field of choral music, share resources, and build a community for current and future teacher conductors, all while exploring the gender divide. I'm Kira Starr.
And I'm McKenna Stenson. And we are Conductor.
Hey, Conductor listeners, welcome to Conductor K12 edition. Conductor K12 is a new initiative created to feature K-12 choral music educators. These educators are the foundation of choral music, and we want to provide a platform for their voices. We are so excited to hear from some of the wonderful educators that you all nominated.
This next segment features our intern, Grace Hardy. Grace talks to her current high school teacher and asks her some of our #Conductor K12 questions.
We wanted to give a special shout out to Grace and thank her for all of the work she has done for our podcast. We are incredibly lucky to have her on our team and hope you enjoy this interview.
Hi, my name is Allison Cheng. I teach K-12 at Palisades Charter High School.
And I'm Grace Hardy. I'm her student. And how many years have you been teaching, Ms. Cheng?
This is my 5th year teaching.
So, Ms. Cheng, how do you approach interdisciplinary work within your school?
It's really interesting, the position that I have, because I'm technically teaching choral music, guitar, credit recovery, as well as teaching classes online. So how you organize, how you teach something. So, for example, you have to break something down to make it understandable, whether that's music theory, whether that's guitar chords, whether that's, I don't understand what this concept is about music history.
Wonderful. Also, what are some of your successful strategies for student engagement in your classes?
I actually have a box of fidgets in my desk that sometimes I hand out to students because after COVID, it became more apparent that students are struggling coming back to the classroom, being able to sit still, listen quietly, and they need something to do with their hands. Another one that I use memes and GIFs in my slideshows to make them more entertaining, to meet the students where they're at. Sometimes I also include songs or projects that speak to the students and what they're about, whether that's a DJ project or whether that's we sing Disney pop songs for our spring concert.
And now, a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey everyone, Gloria here from Call Time Clothing, back again to remind you to check out our newest special edition items from our collaboration with Conductor. Grab a super soft tee for yourself, a family member, teacher, or maybe all of the above. We've truly got something for everyone. Head over to Call Time Clothing today.
Pavon Publishing is proud to feature outstanding women composers and conductors.
Composer Judith Harrington has created a prolific choral series for youth and treble choirs that includes Fireflies from Japan and Duérmete mi corazón from Brazil.
Shirley McRae has many outstanding arrangements for young choirs, including popular songs like Black Sheep, and Sakura.
Conductor Iris Levine maintains a treble chorus series of medium to advanced works with text by poets from Teasdale to Yeats.
Other composers and authors in the Pavon family circle include Zenaida Stewart-Robles, Catherine Rundis, and Martha Wall. Explore all of these fantastic composers at Pavon Publishing. And we're back.
My name is Tara Sikon. I have been teaching for 21 years, and I currently teach high school 9 through 12 at Birdville High School in the North Texas area.
Awesome. My name is Brian Murray, and I nominated Tara, and I am so happy to be here. And so let's get started. Tara, what is one piece of advice you have for teachers in their first year in the classroom?
I would say my most important piece of advice is, and it's a tough one, is know that it's going to be hard. And that sounds kind of tough love, but I think a lot of people come into this field and think that it's going to be sunshine and roses all the time. And sometimes it is going to be sunshine and roses, but your first year teaching, you learn a lot about yourself, and you learn a lot of things that you didn't learn in college. You learn a lot about spreadsheets. You learn a lot about parent communication. you learn a lot about kids that you just can't practice as much until you actually get in the classroom. So I see sometimes with a lot of my student teachers or first year teachers that come in, they get really discouraged really, really easily. And I think some of that is their expectation that it's just going to be sunshine and roses the whole time. And music is a wonderful, wonderful thing, but it requires a lot of hard work. So I really think that it's important for people to know in their first year teaching, it's going to take some grit. It's going to take some buckle down, and it's going to take a lot of hard work. The rewards are really, really great. But I think you do have to walk in the door knowing and expecting that you're going to have to put your all in, and you're going to be tired. Because I think sometimes we don't expect that.
Sure.
So I would say just expect that there's going to be surprises, both good and bad. But it's really worth it. So.
How would you describe your first year of teaching? Like, what was that like for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, my student teaching experience even was really, I think actually really prepped me for my first year of teaching. My mentor teacher actually found out very quickly into my student teaching that she had breast cancer. So she had to go on a medical sabbatical. And so I really took the reins after that and was by myself and had people coming in and observing me. But I finished out the semester there and then was hired at that school because she was going to be gone the whole year. So my student teaching experience was really unique in that way. It was in Louisiana public school, which was pretty different from where I grew up. And so I think kind of being thrown to the wolves in my student teaching experience really, really helped me my first year teaching, because my safety net was gone earlier. So I think that really just helped me buckle down. My first full year teaching, I came to the Dallas area and taught middle school, and I was in a very affluent neighborhood in the Dallas area. But they had run through several teachers. I mean, I think they'd had 5 directors in a 3-year span. So that means people left in the middle of the year. So I think parents, when I walked in and I was, fresh-eyed and straight off of the degree, I think they were ready to eat me alive a little, because that's what had happened with some of the other directors. But I got in there and just made the experience really fun for the kids, and got to know a lot of my coworkers really, really quickly. And just buckled down right away. And it was actually a really, really positive experience for me. But I think had I not had my experience in Louisiana public school and where my student teaching kind of imploded and then actually made a job for me, I don't know that I would have been as prepared for my first year, because I was by myself a lot. So I think that is also something, a lot of people come into these really, really big programs, at least in Texas, in North Texas. People are coming into big programs where there's multiple directors. And while that's great, I think there also is something to be said for having to figure it out by yourself, and knowing that you can problem solve on your own without somebody else. It's great to have that safety net, but also sometimes we don't experience solving the problem as much on our own without it.
Awesome. You mentioned earlier for first-year teachers, talking about how basically that it's going to be challenging, that it's going to be hard. What is something that you wish that people, maybe even non-teachers, knew about teaching music?
Wow. I think that they need to know that the hours are a lot longer than you would expect, and the projects are bigger. I'll take musical, for example. If you're on a campus where you're doing a musical, I know sometimes you get these large scores of music, and they're these Broadway shows, and they're 16-part chorus, and you have 40 precious lambs and some who can't match pitch there, and you do a lot of rewriting. So there is a lot of administrative work, I think, that people don't expect or don't know about. I learned from Brian a lot of shorthand keyboard switches for Excel documents that I never knew I would use. So I wish sometimes that people knew the hours that were spent outside of just making music with the kids. It's almost another full-time job if you really think about it. It's booking buses, it's attendance, it's grades, it's everything else. And I think sometimes we put together such a beautiful picture in these concerts that it's easy for people to focus on that and not know the level of work. It's stair-stepping to get there sometimes that people don't know about. So I wish sometimes they knew that the hours spent are hefty. Yeah.
You mentioned the musical earlier, and that relates to something else I was thinking of. How do you work with colleagues? Like, talk about those interdisciplinary type projects, like the musical, where you're working together to kind of create a common goal.
Yeah, absolutely. So musical is a really big one that we do, and I've been on several different campuses that do it several different ways. I've been privileged to be on campuses where we have an orchestra and a band program. So they come in and we have a student pit orchestra. So our band and our orchestra directors are preparing the student instrumentalists. Typically, your choir director is going to come in and teach your chorus parts, teach your main parts, teach your duets and trios. And then your theater director is going to come in and stage it all and do the props and do the costumes and all of the work that goes with that. I've been really, really privileged and lucky in that I've had a really great experience working with amazing and fantastic colleagues who are masters of their own craft. And so it's been a really positive experience to put together these really large productions. Because again, it is a time-consuming process. So when you see it on the stage, you want to feel like, wow, that was worth it. So it's been nice. We sit down with our colleagues typically the spring before to choose a show. You're looking at your kids. Who are your big hitters in the choir program? Who are your big hitters in the theater program? And sometimes we do have to duke it out over what show is right, depending on what kids are there. I know for us this year, we've just had we had a really girl heavy cast this year, not a lot of males that were as interested. So picking a show with your colleagues and really figuring out, narrowing the show options for something that can accommodate all of your kids on the campus. It's nice to get to do those things because you do learn about kids and other programs too. And honestly, it has been a great recruitment tool for me over the last couple of years too, because sometimes they come in and they see the way that you teach the chorus and they're really excited about that. They knew there were singers, but they didn't know that they enjoyed that process so much. So it does turn into a good recruitment tool for your program as well. So that's nice. But I've had a really positive experience. It is, like so many things, I feel like I keep saying this, it's really time consuming, which it is, but it really helped me bond with my coworkers. And I can say with great certainty, the school that I was at before I am currently, I stayed there for probably another 4 years because the colleagues that I had were my family. They're your brothers and sisters. They're your work spouses. So getting to do all those projects together really just helps you bond together with your people.
Awesome. What show did you all do? Or have you done it yet?
We did it. We finished it in November. We did SpongeBob this year, which was fun because we could, really everything was kind of a unisex role in a lot of ways. If you had a kid that had the range, and we, rewrote some octave switches and did some stuff. So it was a really fun show.
Is it fun for the little kids? Like, did you all do a preview or a kids thing?
We did a preview for our middle school, and they were super pumped about it. Nice. It was funny. I was telling my husband, I didn't watch SpongeBob growing up. And so when we first put it together, the songs are really cool in that show because they're all from different writers. Like Sarah Bareilles has a number, and like Panic at the Disco has one. And so all the numbers are really, really different. So there's my school bell, sorry. Really different. And so that was fun because you didn't just feel bored with one genre. So that was fun to put together, but really, really different. So, but I told John, the first day we put it together, I said, I can't tell if SpongeBob is just weird and I don't get it, or if the kids haven't figured out the humor in it yet. So I don't know if it's them or me. So, and the answer was, it was somewhere in between.
Cool. Well, what strategies do you use, Tara, to encourage student leadership?
Student leadership is a huge deal to me because I really feel like, especially after COVID, we did a lot of giving grace, which was needed at the time. We did a lot of pushing some kids through the process just to get through the hard time. So we've really amped up our student leadership. So I have a group of officers, anywhere from president, vice president, all the way down to my social committee chairs. And they interview with me at the end of the year. They have to write an essay. They have to have 2 other teachers sign off on their being a great kid. And so they come in and they really, really help us create a lot of PR for the program. Because I'm 43, I can stand in front of teenagers and say, you should do choir, but it's really different when their friend who's on the football team also says, you should do choir. So that leadership piece is really important. And I think it's a big deal for your larger choir to see them in action. So I'll use today as an example. We have 3 days of school left, so we're winding down. So I pulled all my officers in here and I was like, okay, we need to do this, and they were just bustling around the room and taking care of it. And their fellow students, their peers see that. So I want my student leaders to know that it's not just a title; you have to wear it. Another big thing that we started, Brian, when we were together too, was student conductor. And I really love to empower our kids to be behind the podium, to practice their conducting skills, to practice their warm-up skills. So once a week, my student conductor leads warm-ups for my top group. They know the sight reading that they're going to do beforehand, so they present it to the kids. Okay, sopranos, you're on do, altos, you're on mi, and we really work through the sight reading process with them at the helm. Which also means when I go to conferences and or we happen to both be gone on one day, myself and my associate, then we can say, okay, Haley, here's the music we want you guys to press on. And the student conductor has been a really big deal. And then we have 2 concerts where our students get to actually conduct. So we do a winter concert and we have a candlelight thing. And so they stand in one section, I stand in another, and they actually conduct our heritage pieces with us in real time in front of their audience and in front of their peers. And then they do a senior song at the very end of the year, and our student conductors conduct and help me choose that senior song for the kids. So student conductor is something that I feel really, really proud of and excited that I know I've sent a bunch of kids to music ed later, and I can say with great certainty a lot of those kids were student conductors in my program, and getting that experience for them and then going to college with that experience, I think is really helpful to them.
What a powerful opportunity for them to learn that. Like, so many of them want to be like, I want to do choir for the rest of my life, but what does that actually entail? What does that mean? That's
absolutely. Awesome. And for your kids that are getting ready to be music majors, then they stand behind the piano and have to work by half steps.
Amen.
I was going to say, yeah.
That is a needed skill. Well, lastly, I just want to ask you, what is your favorite thing about teaching?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I actually really love the day-to-day rehearsals more than anything else. And that sounds silly. I know we create so many beautiful musical experiences for the kids, but I love daily rehearsal. I love to take a piece of music and break it down. I could rehearse 10 measures forever and just try it differently and put a different word emphasis on. And I think it's really cool for our kids to know that music is always evolving and music is always changing, and whoever stands in front of you can determine one way and the choir can determine another. And I love the rehearsal process. I love that magic of the space in between conductor and choir. I tell my kids that a lot. Nobody knows the moment that we're in as well as we do. Our audience is watching us do something, but that moment that piece is over and the conductor's hands aren't fully down yet, and you're just holding in that moment together. I mean, I honestly think that there's nothing, that sounds cheesy, but that there's nothing more magical than that. I really love that. And high school is my niche. I love this age group. I love getting to have these kids for 4 years and to watch them change and evolve from when they walk in our door as squirrely 14-year-olds and leave as these well-rounded individuals. Truly one of my greatest joys about teaching is watching my former students go out and become directors themselves, watching my colleagues go and get their doctoral degrees, just watching everybody evolve and change because we are pulled together by just the beauty of music. And I know that probably sounds cheesy, but anybody listening to this probably believes in that power of music and can understand that. But There really is no greater joy than being a teacher, and it is hard. It's a lot of work. My husband and I are both choir directors. Sometimes I feel like my school kids get more of me than my own kids do. But I also think when they come and see what we do, they know how powerful it is and they know how meaningful it is. So just getting to establish routines and relationships with these kids for such, an important time in their lives, there's nothing more beautiful to me than that. Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing today, Tara.
Absolutely. Thank you all for letting me share.
I'm so privileged to know you and think that that magic that you were talking about, you create that. So, it was an honor.
Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate that.
And now, a quick word from our sponsors.
This season, we are featuring a fierce lineup of women composers found in the Music Spoke marketplace. At Music Spoke, composers receive the majority of the proceeds from sales, retain control over their own works, and all scores are available immediately as digital downloads. At Music Spoke, they do not simply publish pieces of music. They find composers and give them the tools and freedom to promote themselves.
You just heard Stabat Mater by Sulpicia Chasis, edited by Meredith Bowen. Check out her works today on musicspoke.com and conducther.com/sponsors.
Hello, this is Sandra Snow, Director of Choral Programs at Michigan State University and Artistic Director of Mirabai. Mirabai is partnering with the Denver Women's Chorus to present Storytellers, a workshop unlike any conference you've been to. For the first time, leaders in choral music education will partner with members of GALA, the Gay and Lesbian Association of Choruses, to bring a workshop that blends the experiences of musical activists and classroom trailblazers. The Storytellers Conference is designed to improve your rehearsal and ensemble leadership through sessions that promote inclusive pedagogy, cultural responsiveness, and a new lens through which to view the conductor's role. Featured guests will include composer and singer Moira Smiley, and all attendees will be able to see Mirabai in concert. Session presenters will include collegiate educators from across the country and gala chorus leaders who are working as community activists. When we come together to listen to one another's stories, we all grow. Storytellers. Listen, connect, expand. To register, see storytellersdenver.org.
Hello, everyone. Jocelyn Hagan here. I just wanted to let you know that the Compose Like a Girl podcast has officially launched. Listen as I interview celebrated composers Sarah Kirkland Snyder, Chen Yi, Dale Trombor, Angelica Negron, Rina Esmail, and more. I'm also hard at work on the next batch of scores in the Compose Like a Girl choral series, distributed by Graphite Publishing. You can help me bring these new pieces to life. I'm always seeking choral ambassadors to perform these new works by emerging composers. If you're interested, please reach out to me, Jocelyn Hagan, via my website, jocelynhagan.com, or social media. I look forward to hearing from you.
And we're back.
My name is Pooja Ramaswamy, and I teach at Lakeview High School in Chicago, grades 9 through 12, and this is my 16th year teaching.
I am Liza Calasisi Maidens, Assistant Professor and Director of Choral Activities at the University of Illinois, Chicago. This is my third year here in Chicago and at UIC, and my 9th year teaching in higher ed. And it is a real joy to nominate you for this interview, Pooja. Not only are you an alum of UIC, but a well-respected music educator and friend here in Chicago. And I'm excited to lift up your reflections on a few of the conductor questions today. Have you completed or are you currently pursuing a career advancing degree or program while maintaining your school position at Lakeview?
Yes, so I actually just earned my national board certification for teaching, which is super exciting. I just found out on Saturday that I have that certification, and I've been working on it for the past 2 years. We have a really great program in Chicago. It's called Nurturing Teacher Leadership, and so through NTL we have these mentors and this program that helps support us in this journey, which is challenging because it's a lot of writing and revisions and time. So for the past 2 years, I've been working on really reflecting on my teaching and trying to figure out, how best can I serve my students with all the components that you have to work on with this certification, and it's done.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is so exciting. And, whenever sharing your name around the music ed scene here in Chicago, all of the responses come with just faces lighting up, and you can see the expression of love and respect that people have for you as a conductor and you as a teacher here. Yeah, so congratulations on all of that. So curious, question number 2 for you here. What strategies do you have in place to encourage student leadership?
So I always think about teaching and the purpose of what we do every day in the classroom. And I really think the purpose of teaching is to empower our students to not need us anymore. Because, they're only with us for so long.
Yeah.
So from day one, when I start with my freshmen up through seniors, I have these jobs in the classroom where, we have an attendance taker, or we have someone who leads some stretches every day, or we have someone who is the assassin who takes over somebody else's job if they're not there, someone who passes out materials. So there's all these jobs, and I really ask students to think about what they're comfortable doing, and I want them to sign up for a job, just one job for the entire quarter. Just to kind of get into the front of the classroom and not just be part of the group, but be a leader in the group. And these jobs are not really to put pressure on them, but just to kind of help them feel confident in themselves so that they can do more and not feel like they're just part of the background in class. So that's like the first thing that I do to empower leadership in the class. And then the other things I do is I have this program called Senior Leaders, which we started at Lakeview just a few years ago, and it's really blossoming. And the idea behind it is that students in music who have been with us for a few years are now at the level where they can do more because they've seen us model these things. And so we have senior leaders who sign up to be part of our groups, and their job is to be kind of like a student teacher in our classroom. And it's just so, it's just such a pleasure to see how they grow throughout the year, because when they start, they're nervous. And, one of their first jobs is, okay, you're going to lead warm-ups. And they've seen me do this from day to day to day. And then they get up there and they freak out. They just freeze. And so then we talk through, well, what were you thinking? What are things we can do to plan so that you're not just up there and, just flying off the cuff, but you have a plan in place and you've got these strategies in place. And so I'm really trying to help them develop these ideas of, how do I be a leader and how do I feel comfortable in that role? And so it starts from something like just doing warm-ups. I have them do check-ins and they come up with questions. So they meet with every student once a week to check in on how they're doing, mentally, with school, and just be kind of a support for them in the classroom, a peer support. And then the other big thing that we do is that they conduct a song at a concert. So just today I had my winter concert, and one of my students picked White Winter Hymnal, and he chose the song, he taught the song to our students, and then he conducted it today. And just to see that pride on his face of I did it. And I saw his parents, the audience, they were just so thrilled, because that takes a lot of guts to be able to do something like that and follow through and get to that end result. So
that is wonderful.
Yeah.
And what a great model for some of your incoming freshmen, sophomores, to get to see that trajectory and maybe start with some of the logistical tasks.
Yeah.
And build to the musical ones. What was there someone or something that got you interested in some of that student-centered leadership?
In our health classes at Lakeview, they have junior and senior leaders, and I've seen them do similar things where they are mentors for the students, like the freshmen in health. And I just see how they connect with those younger kids and how the young kids now have a person to go to if they're not comfortable going to their teacher. And I just wanted to emulate that. And I think in music, why not? Why can't we do that?
Mm-hmm.
And how much of an impact does it make on that freshman to know that somebody cares about them? And when they see them in the hallway, they say hi, because now they know an upperclassman who's invested in their success.
Yeah, definitely. I imagine that it helps to not only build community within your choirs, but also individuals' sense of belonging to the choirs, to their, to their ensemble, to one another. And wow, that's really great. It also, I imagine, unfolds nicely if they do choose to continue to sing, and if in college or university setting, that they have leadership skills, both in, they can be the attendance taker, they know how to do that, or they can be a section leader maybe as they grow in the program.
Or they can be on the choir board.
The choir board, yes, we've got a very exciting choir board at UIC, and it's really, it's those similar types of skills. And an area that I'm interested in is one's sense of belonging within a Department of Music at colleges and universities, and I think it's those types of things that really provide a unique ownership of the program for our students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if they feel like they're part of it and they're invested in it, then they have a home.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, your students are lucky. So lucky. Okay, our third question here. How do you find work-life balance, Pooja?
I think that's something that every single person struggles with, no matter where you are in your life, what age you are. It's really hard to find a work-life balance. And I remember being younger and just newly minted teacher and just working all the time, bringing the work home and planning for the next day and writing those lesson plans and reviewing what I had done and reflecting on it and changing it for the next day. And as much as I love what I do, I also really have values in my family. And I think having children really kind of put that into focus, because I also want to be a mom and I want to be, role model to my kids, and I want to be present. So something that I've been working on for the past few years really is just setting boundaries for myself, so that wherever I'm at, I am there fully. And then when I leave and go somewhere else, I am there fully. And having that time to transition. I'm lucky because I have, like a 20-minute commute to work, so it's not crazy long. And every day when I go to work, I'm either calling my mom on the phone and just chatting with her, or I'm listening to music or a podcast, just to kind of like transition from being home to work. And then when I'm at work, my phone is just on silent. I'm working all of the time, and every moment I have is focused on that work time and really just planning for what's next and being there for my students. And then when I leave, I again shift back into home mode, because you want to be the best you can be wherever you're at, and that's how you kind of achieve that sense of excellence.
Yeah. So I'm curious with that. I mean, that takes a certain amount of organization and logistics and a real balance of both of those areas. And you're someone who strikes me as what you've just shared. I see that in the settings, whether that's through the Illinois ACBA board or being on campus at UIC for an event or something even like this. And, it doesn't just happen overnight. Are there strategies that you've had to put into place, whether that's like a meditation practice or a yoga, I think you like to run or whatever it may be, like to help. I think it's hard sometimes when we're in the midst of work to then stop that and then become present at the next thing. And I'm curious how you do that so effectively.
I think exercise is really important in our lives, and it's something that we kind of just leave off the wayside sometimes when things get crazy.
Yes.
I do that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I've made it a practice to exercise every morning. So I get up at 5 a.m. I either go for a walk, I go for a run, I go to bar 3, so I have an exercise class that I go to, and every morning that's that time for myself to kind of focus where I want to be and to kind of release all the tension that we hold in our bodies, because we definitely do that, especially as conductors. Like we are always holding a sense of tension, and that kind of helps me just regulate where I'm at and like focus on that day and that day only. So that's kind of the practice that I've had. And I do think walking can be meditative, because you're just seeing things, you're breathing air outside, you're really just embracing nature. So I think all of those things can really just help you get to a place where you can start to focus and structure your time. I also think that it's really important to set those boundaries in your mind. I mean, we all have really bad days at work. No one has an amazing work life where every day is perfect, and you bring it home with you. Like that's just part of the job. And so giving yourself that time to reflect at work before you leave the building and to kind of figure out, okay, what happened and what am I going to do tomorrow to change it, and not bring that home with you in the car or on the train or on the bus, I think is also really important. Because then when you get home, you can recuperate and then be there to handle the next day.
Right. Do you share those strategies with your students as like a life practice for them to see and experience?
Yeah. We actually, when I see my students walk in the room, I mean, as conductors, we know our students so well. Yeah. And if I can see that we're not in a good place mentally that day, I actually start the day off with meditation. They sit down, I lead them in like a calm classroom or some sort of meditative work so they can kind of just let go of everything they've been holding on to and start afresh. And I think that's super important. I also live by this motto of leave it out the door, or leave your baggage at the door. Sure. And so, when you're a kid, there's drama everywhere in your life. It's just part of who you are because of the hormones and just where you are in your life. And so I ask them to put all of that, mentally aside when they walk in the room and just focus on the here and now. And then when we leave, then they can pick it up and, address what's been going on with them.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I share something similar in that, these 50 minutes of our rehearsal are the time where you don't have to be on your phone. You don't have to be worrying about your roommate or your suite mate or music theory, whatever it may be, that it's like a gift to you, right? That our rehearsal spaces can be that time where the devices are away and the focus is that shared experience, whether it's a shared experience of meditation or a shared experience, of course, what we do in choir. Yeah. So that's wonderful. Pooja, it is such a delight to get to be a peer of yours in Chicago, and your students are so lucky to get to work with you every day, and I feel lucky to get to know you and to have this relationship here. And thank you. Thanks for taking the time to visit today and to be on this really great segment of the Conductor Podcast.
Thank you. And thank you for all you do to support your students. I see it when I come to your rehearsals and your concerts. Like, they love you, and you're really doing so much great work at UIC. So I hope to continue seeing that.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. This has been Conductor. This episode was engineered and mixed by Mary Hannah Klontz, with intro and outro music by Jonathan Martin and ad music by Kate Krellin. Discover more resources at conductor.com.